The fact that we dominated yesterday. All three phases of the game. We dominated from the first quarter to the fourth quarter, and we came in with a mission. We came in with a mission and we understood that mission and we got to it. Victory, job well done for us on Sunday, 47-9. We dominated. We dominated. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But I'll get to that later. But first I want to get to what I saw on Woodward Sports Network, where they were talking about the trade deadline and they were talking about potential pieces to come to Detroit and, step up, for Aiden Hutch being down and out for the season. You could talk about Harold Landry. You could talk about Trey Hendrickson. You could talk about, Hassan Reddick. You could talk about, I don't know, Zadarius Smith. You could talk about Myles Garrett. You could talk about the big fish in the pond right now that everybody wants on this team, Max Crosby. You could talk about it all. But you got to go for the cheaper piece. Okay? You got to go for the cheaper piece and you got to, think ahead. You know what I'm saying? You got to think ahead and bring a cheaper piece in that is very familiar with, Coach Williams and the things that he runs as a defensive line. You got to get guys that are familiar with that. And those who are really familiar with that is Trey Hendrickson and Harold Landry. Because Harold Landry is no Hutch. Same thing with Trey Hendrickson. They're not Hutch. But they're, great players of their own. And they can step up. They can really step up and fill that void. That Hutch that Hutch always gives. Because Hutch is high motor. He doesn't run away from no play. He doesn't run away from no play. He's, all out. He's going to go all in and have all that gas, that energy that is all the way up to fuel. You know what I'm saying? Not empty, but fuel. He has a full tank when he's out there playing on that field. But Landry and Hendrickson, they take things to a different level. You know what I'm saying? And last night, Hendrickson, he played, and he's been asking for a trade. He's been contemplating on that and wanting to go elsewhere. But he had a great game last night with the Bengals, and he could really fit with this team. He is definitely one of the pieces to the puzzle that can help this team going forward in a championship run. And Harold Landry, he's familiar with Williams. He knows what it's like to play for Williams. And he's, a great, great Energizer Bunny. But if you ask me who I would want between the two, I would want Hendrickson. Why? Because he's very familiar with AG, very familiar with, the defense, very familiar with Alex Anzalone and a couple other guys that he's played with when he was in New Orleans. He's familiar with that. He's very familiar with that, and he's familiar with the talent and familiar with, Dan Campbell and guys and more. So I think he would be that piece. But what would you trade him for? I don't know. But we'll see what happens when the trade deadline hits, because it's in November 5th. It's not too far away, So I think as a team, this team is going to dig down deep and go hard and grind hard for Aiden Hutchinson. And they're going to go hard and grind hard, for the city of Detroit to get a win. You know what I'm saying? Get a win big time. This is the division rival. This is a division rival coming up. You know what I'm saying? So you got to go to Minnesota right after this game. Fly back to Minnesota, US Bank Stadium. It's going to be loud. This team is 5-0. You got to focus on that way before trade deadline. I think Mitchell Aguirre will probably play. Isaac Okuu, he might play. You might see James Houston in this game. You might see a couple guys step up and play, but there's not going to be a guy that resembles Hutch in the way he brings, that intensity and that spark and that fuel, that same all gas intensity that he brings each and every Sunday for the Detroit Lions. And, like I said, it's going to be a tough division. It's going to be a tough division. It's going to be tough competition going forward. The second half of football is coming up, and, this is a great season so far for this team, and Hayden Hutchinson is, hard to replace. 7.5 sacks within 6 games. He's broken his tibia and his fibula, and he's out for the whole year. Excuse me for that matter. But I really want to send a shout out to, Woodward Sports Network for actually, covering on that and then some. I want to send a shout out to the Pat McAfee show, which is now talking about Aiden Hutchinson suffering a broken tibia and whatnot. I definitely want to send a shout out to those guys. I absolutely want to send a shout out to Brian Branch for playing a stellar game. Stellar game. He was a hell of an all-star in that game, making plays and making the plays that we needed down the stretch. Kirby Joseph, what more can I say? What more can I say? He is an all-pro through and through. Got to give him credit where it's due. Tip your hat off to him. And, I know that's more where that came from when it comes to these two, because these two are a great, great safety duo. They're Shaq and Kobe on the field for us. So I can't wait to see what they can do going forward too. And also, we got to watch out for, JJ, Justin Jefferson. Watch out for him. He's going to be lightning hot. For the past few games, he's been very lightning hot. And Sam Darnold, we got to watch out for him too. Even though some of you guys may sit there and say you're not worried about Sam Darnold can perform at a high level when he wants to perform at a high level. So watch out for that too. You can't underestimate your opponent. This is a league where anything can happen in any given moment at any given time. It's any given Sunday. Night after night, day after day, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, hell, 5 o'clock games. It's like that every given Sunday. And you should not go into this Sunday saying, hey, we may be the 2-point favorites, but that means nothing. That means nothing unless you win. 2-point favorites, it's okay. It's okay to be a 2-point favorite. It's okay. But you got to think of it like this. Don't underestimate the Minnesota Vikings. Don't underestimate them. They're a team that can bounce back when they're ready to bounce back. And they haven't ran into anybody. They have not. They're 5-0 for a reason. But, to teach its own, when you run into a team like the Detroit Lions, who's just coming in off of a bye week and a great performance that they had on Sunday, get ready. Get ready, because we're going to come in lightning hot. We're going to match your energy. We're going to match your intensity the same way you've been doing things the past 4, maybe 5 games. So, that's going to be a fun matchup at US Bank Stadium. I'm absolutely excited for that one. Happy birthday to Jared Goff. Big shout out to JG16. Happy birthday to him. He turns 30 today. So big shout out to him. And big shout out to Miss Goff too. Kristen Goff. Phenomenal, people. We're glad to have you here in Detroit. We embrace you. Don't ever forget that. Big shout out to another happy birthday to, Stephen A. Smith. What can go wrong can go wrong. Yeah. The Dallas Cowboys. They're very, very miserable. They are so miserable. And look, if you woke up this morning watching First Take, if you woke up this morning watching First Take, Stephen A. Smith had top 5 things. He talked about the defense. He talked about Jerry Jones. He talked about the Cowboy fan base. He talked about the fact that this offense has no running game. It doesn't. And they're going to pass the ball a lot more than they run. They're not trusting in the run at all. And the coaching, Mike McCarthy, who is a Super Bowl winning champion coach. He's very familiar with Aaron Rodgers, etc., etc. But all those things, all those top 5 things was exploited. Was not exploded, but, exposed for the matter on Sunday. You got exposed, you got beat. Jordan Lewis, Dak Prescott, please understand that actions speak louder than words, okay? That's what you got to understand. When you're a football player, action speaks louder than words. Your results is to get the win. You can get stats, but results is getting a win. So you can't just go ahead and say, oh, we're going to guarantee a win. We're going to come in and kick down the door, beat the Lions, and, go into the bye week with a win and blah, blah, blah. It's like my main man, Motor City Mania, said. You just gave the Lions bulletin board material to use in this game. You just gave them that. You really just said, fuck it. We're going to light fire under the Lions and let them go ahead and go out and just go all out. have a like fucking field day with us. That's what you did. And we're glad that we gave you a field day. We're glad that we put on a show. We're glad that we showed you what we can do when it truly matters most. We got out there and we went to the finish line. So you got to meet us at the finish line. You finished like what? Second place in this game? We finished first place. We're at the finish line. Victory lap today. Victory Monday for that matter. So we're good here in Detroit. We're happy with what we got. You know what I'm saying? We're happy with the adjustments. We're happy with sticking to the plan. We're happy with doing everything that we wanted to do defensively, offensively, special teams wise, even kick returns, punt returns, field position, and even clock management. We did great in all departments of this game, whether if it's, 12 personnel, 11 personnel, whatever. We did great. We did absolutely great tackling. We did absolutely great running, catching balls. TP, big shout out to you. Tim Patrick, you had a hell of a day today. Well, not today, but, yesterday. You had a hell of a day that day, and you did a great job. I'm happy for you. You know what I'm saying? And I think we found our ex-receiver. A guy that we could trust, going forward, a guy that can, really spark it up a little bit more. J-Mo, salute to you, brother. And let me just go out and say this. After you dropped one catch, it was only right to regain confidence and go back and get it. And you went back and go back and get it. You helped us out very well in this game. Got yourself a touchdown. And I wish that touchdown I probably would have to say this. When you get a touchdown and one of those touchdowns that came back, it's going to really, irk you a little bit. But then again, you had a hell of a game too. Amon-Ra St. Brown, my guy, Sun God. Hey, big shout out to your pops, by the way. Big shout out to him. Amon-Ra St. Brown, fantastic game. He had a hell of a game. And he did some things that, a lot of wide receivers can't do. Great touchdown from him. Great play. Great way to keep your hands up, eye coordination on the ball, and stay in bounds. Put 2 feet in. Hell of a catch. And he's a hell of a player. He's a stud. I mean, definitely a stud. A guy that needs to be in the Pro Bowl every year. Not just 1 year, 2 years, every year. We're lucky to have that guy. So, thumbs up to 14. And there's another thing I want to say about J-Mo too about this is that the matchup with Trayvon Diggs and J-Mo was just like disrespectful to me. Like, why in the hell would you have Trayvon Diggs guarding J-Mo when you know J-Mo is way speedier than him, than this guy? It's just bad having J-Mo and Diggs go at it when you know J-Mo is twice faster than this guy. He's going to beat him. Every single chance he gets, he's going to beat him. And JG's going to look for him all the time on that matchup. So Trayvon Diggs, you got beat. Ugly. You got beat ugly. You got juked out by Jahmyr Gibbs. You didn't want to tackle David Montgomery. You got outworked. 3 offensive guys, J-Mo, D-Mo, and Jahmyr Gibbs, Sonic Knuckles, they outworked you. J-Mo outworked you. They had a masterclass with you yesterday, But in the meantime, between time, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe to the channel, Chicken Nugget King 313. Even give me your thoughts on, the trade deadline. And give me your thoughts on the Lions' huge win. Detroit, we have everything to be excited about, man. And I definitely want to say a thank you to the Detroit Tigers for the way they played. They had a great run. They had a hell of a run. Going from, having the worst odds to making the playoffs to actually making the playoffs. I mean, that is something that you got to be proud of. And making the ALDS, that's an outstanding thing. That is an outstanding thing for a great baseball franchise like the Detroit Tigers. I think next year that just builds more momentum for them. It makes them more hungry to go back to the postseason. AJ Hinch is, definitely a one-of-a-kind manager. He's won, multiple World Series championships. And he's, a mastermind when it comes to doing, things that nobody ever could think they would do. He's a great baseball IQ guy. And speaking of great IQ guys, Ben Johnson. My man, Ben Johnson, BJ. Listen, You are a mad scientist, brother. You are a mad scientist. To cook up a lateral to Penei Sewell was the most disrespectful thing. The most disrespectful thing ever. To me, honestly, ever. But it's your boy Chicken Nugget King 313. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment if you may. I'm out. Hey, one pride.